Hi, and welcome to Praeternatural Mysteries with your host, Ivotres Littles and Dr. Lovey. We will take a closer look to the paranormal, the supernatural, and the unexplained. But before we get into that, how are you doing, Dr. Lovey?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Ivotres?
I'm doing great. So this is exciting because our topic's exciting, but this is even more exciting because people can see us. Hello, everybody. I love that beautiful smile you have there, Dr. Lovey.
I'm much smarter off camera than I am on.
I know it is a scary thing. I had to actually put on makeup and look nice, so I didn't scare anyone.
You are always beautiful. Always.
Oh, well, thank you. So our topic today is curse objects. And we will be talking about Annabelle. Of course, we have to talk about Annabelle the doll, the original Annabelle, the Raggedy Ann, of course. Second, we will talk about Robert the doll and Okiku, the Japanese curse doll. Mm-hmm. Or haunted doll, a spirit doll, whatever doll you think, it is what it is. So, and the fourth thing we're going to talk about is a conjured chest from Kentucky, a very cursed one. And the last but not least, the Hungarian Suicide Squad
song. Right on. The Hungarian version of the Suicide Squad. I want to see that.
Me too. Yeah. Oh my god. The Suicide song. Oh my gosh. Gloomy Sunday. Song. Oh man. That's, I'm not even going to edit that out. Anyway, so yeah, there's so many of those. So this will be a part one. Part two will probably come later down the line, but there's so many objects out there. It's hard to narrow them down. It really is. So the question I have for you, Dr. Lovey, have you ever experienced anything, have an object maybe in your house or been in someone else's house or actually witnessed something cursed?
I do not know if it was cursed. But when I was a child in Arizona at my father's house, he had a very sophisticated security system. And the power went out when he was gone. And every room locks automatically. Every door locks. And I was in the dark in a room and I heard something in the closet call my name. And I went in there and I'm totally in the dark, and this beautiful angelic voice is talking to me, telling me that everything's going to be okay. Don't worry, your dad's coming home. The power will come back on. And I was absolutely elated and placated, and I fully believed that there was an angel and I was going to be okay. And when the lights came back on, it was the ugliest ventriloquist dummy right in front of me. Here was this beautiful experience with the lights off, and because visually it was so terrifying, I really don't even know what to make of that situation, because it was nice and kind and beautiful and telling me that everything was going to be okay. But then when the lights came on, the only thing that could have been talking to me in that closet was a ventriloquist dummy. And I'm like,
oh man. Oof.
So I've got a problem with dolls and dummies ever since that.
I don't even know what to say to that. I just don't, I have a problem with dolls, period, but ventriloquist dolls do bother me. And I think it started when I watched Tales from the Crypt, that one episode. He had a ventriloquist doll and he put his hand in there, and inside the doll was a little person, it was I don't know, it was like a parasitic twin. Yeah, that was attached to this bed. Yeah. And yeah, I don't think I could ever do that. And then the movie Dead Silence came out, and that just really just bothered me. Yeah. The ending of that movie was just crazy. But But anyway.
And we go back to the 1970s with the film Magic. And then, of course, there were a
Yes.
couple Twilight Zone episodes, too.
Of course, there's so many cursed objects out there, but we narrowed it down to some that are really popular and to some you don't hear often, but they're still well known. It's scary because you don't know if it is haunted until you bring it in your house and then all these terrible things happen to you. And then you pinpoint it, it has to be this remote control.
Then people get rid of it and don't tell people it was haunted.
I know.
They're like,
yeah,
garage sale here.
That's just cruel. Let's get right into it. The first one on our list is Annabelle, the original Annabelle, the Raggedy Ann doll.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Annabelle from The Conjuring. It looks completely different. I personally think the original is scarier than the one in the movie because it looks so happy. It just looks so friendly, but it carries something terrible with it.
The movie took it to a whole new level. First
Yes.
off, that doll was terrifying. The original Annabelle, Raggedy Ann doll, never had credit for. So the original Annabelle was a gift from a mother bought secondhand to her daughter for a birthday gift. The daughter was already in college. I think she was studying nursing. She was in a small apartment with one other roommate.
Mm-hmm.
The Raggedy Ann doll would move positions, in the living room, should be with her arms crossed, should be with her legs. A couple times she was in positions that they weren't even able to get her to stay in once they were trying to prop her that way. Eventually that Raggedy Ann doll started writing notes, and these was on paper, parchment paper as it said, that didn't even exist in that apartment. And the notes were always scribbles, and they said, "Help us," or "Help Lou." And Lou happened to be the boyfriend of the roommate that the Donna, the original girl who got the Raggedy Ann doll, lived with. Lou hated that doll. Lou told them it was evil. He wanted nothing to do with it. He said, "This is wrong." The girls called in a medium. The medium said, "Oh, it's just a poor little spirit of a girl that died in the neighborhood. Her body was found in the field before this apartment building was built." Another tale comes from the Warrens, who claimed that the girl is the spirit of a child that died in an automobile accident close to that apartment. Either version, this doll was moving by itself, scribbling notes, and eventually it took a very strong disliking to Lou. And Lou woke up in the middle of the night one night, completely paralyzed, to the doll at the feet of his bed, and it was described as floating up to him. And he could not breathe, he could not move, and he felt that the doll was suffocating him and strangling him. He blacked out.
So this entity was attached to the Raggedy Ann doll.
Yes. And did not like Lou at all. And it was after that event that it found its way to the Warrens.
Well, that's a completely different story I have.
What you got?
But your story sounds more legit. See, I was looking up, but I don't. But see, that's why I have you on here, Dr. Lovey, because you go deeper than what I could go. I just went to who created the Raggedy Ann doll. Who was an American writer. I can't say his name. It's Gruelle. Gruelle? Johnny Gruelle. Oh, Gruelle. Well, we'll just go with it.
I like Gruelle. It sounds...
I know Gruelle. It's probably Gruelle. And he created the doll in 1915. And he was also a child writer, so he wrote books, for children and everything. So, and that book went published in 1918, but the actual creation of the doll didn't come to much later. And so it was a series of characters. There's Raggedy, Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy, and there's a Mammy character in there, but we won't go that far.
Oh, I
Not,
didn't know.
not that's another episode. That doll, the Raggedy Ann doll, became an anti-vaxxed doll.
And she was like the stereotype or spokes Raggedy Ann.
Well, his daughter passed away through an infected vaccination.
Oh wow.
So it wasn't the vaccine itself. Someone probably didn't wash their hands. Hygiene back there was just not the greatest. And his daughter got very sick and she died.
Annabelle has one death to her credit. One kill count.
And it locked her up for life.
She was locked up during the time. She was in the Warren's Museum in that horrible little glass cage that the poor little thing doesn't deserve to be in. And apparently a young lad was making fun of her and challenging her. And eventually he got on his motorcycle and he died that night on the way home. And so Ed Warren always believed that it was Annabelle that was responsible for that one.
Okay. I guess we could point fingers at anything, but he could have been just negligent. I guess I'm being the devil's advocate here. He could be negligent. He could, it was his fate to get in a terrible car crash. And he just not a car crash, but an accident. And he just happens to go visit and make fun of it and then get in, on this motorcycle, right?
Could be a coincidence.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's like, oh, well, Annabelle had to do it because he was the last person. But I can't, it's hard for me to go with that because it could be a coincidence.
Could be a coincidence. Yep.
Could be.
I'm giving her credit. I was saying, you go, girl. So,
we're 50. We're split here. We're split with this one. And then that doll later, just spawned a whole franchise.
That doll is terrifying. Like, who did that?
Well, she's been through a lot. She didn't always look like that, though. She's been through a lot. She been through a lot. If you see Annabelle, it explains exactly how that doll in the movie got possessed. So
at no point in that movie was she cute and cuddly. She was not. I'm gonna hold this and sleep with it.
So we move on to Robert the Doll, one of the most famous, just like Annabelle, of the cursed dolls. And this one has all kinds of stories. And just to put it out there, Chucky from Child's Play is not influenced from Robert the Doll. I just have to put it out there. Thank you. Okay, now we can move on.
my buddy.
It was doll. My buddy. Yeah.
Yep.
Now on to Robert the Doll. And that dates back all the way from the early 1900s. Yeah. From a young boy named Eugene Robert Otto, right? Otto, right? And he was given a one-of-a-kind handmade doll from a servant. What a wonderful gift. Now, back then, 1900s, I have to assume the servant was probably an African-American. Probably a slave, and probably made the doll. And as a gift, gave it to him. What do you think about that?
The doll's origin is worse than that. It's German.
Oh!
We all know the
Germans have go further than that. We're going way back.
It was a German doll, and there is a story where it was brought and bought by the servant to give to the child. There's also a story that the grandfather bought the doll. The doll was never, when we go back to the doll's history, it was never meant to be sold. It was actually a window display, and those were made in a much larger size, a life size, actually. So it was never
life size Robert the Doll.
It is a life size Robert the Doll. And the clothes that the doll is wearing are actually Robert Eugene Otto's, because that doll was not sold with those clothes, and originally his face was painted more jester in color and and face paintings.
See, I would have liked to see that doll. The colors, it sounds more terrifying. I couldn't imagine. See, the way it looks now, it's not scary. Like, I guess looking at it from a distance, because it is known if you get close to the doll, something terrible happens to you. There's been known to people losing their jobs, getting terrible accidents. Um, I don't know. I mean, the list goes on and on. Deaths? I haven't heard any deaths, but maybe you have?
He has no kill count to his credit. Negative.
Okay.
Negative. The worst thing you can do around Robert, and Robert has a happy ending because now he's in a museum and he has a ton of fans and he has his own Facebook and he has pen pals that write him. But the worst thing that you can do is take a picture without his permission.
Oh, that is right. That is right. You have to ask.
There are letters all over his walls that are begging for forgiveness because people took pictures without asking first, and terrible things have started happening to them. So
how would you... what is he going to do? Say, okay, you could take my photo? I mean, how do you know it's okay?
I think just asking for permission and showing that level of respect or kindness, or even showing that you're willing to engage him and ask him something, might be a form of blessing in a way.
Well, they actually, I was reading that they encourage you to take a photo.
Mm-hmm.
See, so that's the museum fault. So if they tell me, oh, you could take a picture. Okay, you take a picture. Oh, and by the way, did you read the fine print at the bottom?
You should have read.
No. Like, but I took the photo. Oh, I'm so sorry. Next. Okay.
That'll be $50 to remove the curse. Sorry.
I mean, that's messed up.
Like $10 to see the doll, $50 to remove the curse.
Hey, you got to make a profit somehow. I mean, somebody's running these museums. It might be crooked, but at least they're being run. But that's crazy. But they said if you're lucky, you could catch somewhat of a smile. You may hear giggles, his head turn. Let me tell you right now. If I see any of that or hear any of that, the last thing you're going to see is the back of my head, because I am out of there. There's no way I'm going to say, okay, he said it's okay, and his head turned and he's ready for his pose, and he's voguing in there while I'm trying to take his photo. No, I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm done.
Or even worse, you don't notice until you look at the picture when you're at home alone. And it's like,
see, nah. It's not going to work. Okay. But it even start way back then. I mean, way back when Eugene experienced his own phenomenon. You know, he was in the room with the doll, and, you know, then everything just went crazy. He's screaming for his mom. His mom walked in. Well, after she didn't just walk in, she had to like burst her way into there, because for some reason the room was the door was locked or shut to the point where she just couldn't get in. She finally get in. She see her son just in the corner, scared to death. The room is in shambles, and the doll is just sitting on the bed smiling with his legs crossed. I mean, no.
You want to add to that, they let him keep the doll. And it happened again and again. I mean, that's some parenting skills that are pretty bad.
So what do you make of this doll? Like, why? Like why? Like, that's the biggest question. Like, why this particular doll? What did this doll deserve to be cursed and passed on?
I don't know that he's cursed. Let's put it this way. Here's a lonely little boy who went by the name of Gene. Obviously, his parents aren't that good at parenting because they kept the doll, put him back to bed with the doll, closed the door with the doll, probably left him alone, because the majority of his life he played with that doll, talked to that doll. His parents claimed that they heard another voice responding to Gene, which they believed was the doll. Eventually they did see the doll change positions, change facial features. Gene loved that doll and grew up with that doll. So I think he was probably a very lonely child. They had some good money, so I would bet at that time period, perhaps the parents might have been a more negligent. He was a lonely kid, and that was his best friend. When you look at the house, you will notice that on the second or third story is this gorgeous turret room. So the whole thing is just windows all the way around. And children that were walking to school would claim that they would watch Robert follow them through the windows. As an adult, when he moved back into the house after his parents passed away, used to stay with Robert again. So he grew up with Robert. He left. He came back to the house, was reunited with Robert. He would spend day upon day in the turret room painting his famous paintings with Robert there. And eventually a wife came, and some stories say that eventually the wife was driven crazy by that doll. But Jean loved that doll without question. And Robert loved Jean.
But it's even scarier of all the stuff that went on. Either way, I would not have that doll around. And obviously, they don't have the doll around. It's locked away, but I wouldn't go see it. They encourage you to come see the doll. They encourage you to take pictures. They encourage you to write stories, to talk to it, be friends. No. Because what if it likes you so much, it comes out of there. You're at home chilling, and he pops up
peeking around the corner.
Yeah, because now he's your friend. No, I'm sorry.
Like your letter.
This is creepy. This is a very creepy topic. And if you want more creepy topics like that, make sure you subscribe and like so me and Dr. Lovey could talk about more of this stuff. Yes. So we're going to move on to another doll.
Okay.
You don't hear this doll too much. Not really. I'm surprised. Maybe there's a film out there or something, but it's the Okiku doll, the Japanese curse doll or haunted doll, depends on how you look at it. And that doll is pretty sad. That doll was gifted by a brother, and she was 2 years old, and he gave it to her, and her name was Okiku. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I would definitely have the spelling in the description, but yeah, and she grew fond with that doll. She slept with the doll. She ate with the doll. The doll never left her side. And what's interesting is that the brother was out and about when he came across the doll, but he said it enticed him. It was sitting in the window, and he was the urge to purchase it. So that's why it came into the house. And his little sister got so sick. And during that time, it was the yellow fever was running rapid. And she got really, really sick, and she passed away. When she died, the doll was near her. So the family decided to bury her, and was going to bury the doll with her, but decided to put it on their shrine. For her to have a shrine, because Japanese really do respect the dead,
right?
And their spirits and rest and all that stuff. But they noticed the doll had long hair, because the doll had black hair, was in a komodo, and the hair was shoulder length. And when they saw the doll, it was way longer, and it was looked frazzled. And when they touched the hair, it was way different. And then from then on, it just got crazier and crazier. The lights would flicker. The doll would move. It'd be interesting things going on in the house. And eventually they accepted the doll, sort of, because they kind of figured it was the spirit. But it got too crazy, and they gave it to a priest, and the doll was already kind of famous at that time. So they accepted the doll. And as it gets closer to her birthday, or when she originally died, they see more and more activity, and the hair starts growing wild, and the priests trim it. But what's even spookier than that is that some cases have reported the doll opening its mouth, and you could see baby teeth. You can
That's
see baby
right.
teeth growing like gums, like through the gums. That would be the last time you see me. And they encourage you to see the doll. No. If I'm visiting Japan, there is no way I'm seeing that doll up close with binoculars from the road. Like if we happen to ever get a chance to go to Japan and able to see that doll, I'll let you go in there. I don't want any kind of device, electricity, because I know spirits kind of run through that. No, I'll just take binoculars from the street and I'll look. That is scary.
It is terrifying. In some religions, the idea that any object can have a spirit is normal. Then there's also some religions where, say, like if a woman loses her child, even before birth, sometimes they continue to raise a substitute baby, and sometimes they believe that that baby, as long as they're taking care of it, helps their baby in the afterlife mature, move on, grow, and transcend this material world. So these are some foreign beliefs to the Western theories, but these are normal beliefs in other religions. And it's kind of beautiful to think that your dead daughter is still there and still growing. Some people even say that the doll is getting bigger. So it's possible, or at least in their religious belief, it's possible.
Can you imagine seeing that doll has like gray hair and wrinkles?
But she's aging slower.
Oh yeah, it's the spirit world. They go different. They age differently.
I could use me some of that.
So in spirit, how old would she be? You know how dog years and spirit years, if there's a such thing, what would it be?
I'm gonna have to go ask her.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. And her teeth are just coming in. She's what, 5 to 7 something? So wait until she loses those teeth and others start coming in. So
she passed the diapers.
That has never been mentioned as something that needs to happen with the doll. Just hair cutting.
That would be pretty interesting. Okay, we're cutting hair, trimming nails, teeth are coming in, and we're changing diapers.
There are stories of statues crying. There are stories of objects bleeding, walls bleeding, religious statues bleeding.
Well, see, I would love to hear a story of a doll using the bathroom. That would be that. Now that's terrifying.
There is one. That'll be another episode, but there is one. I know of it.
Okay, because I know there's a place in Mexico where it's like all these dolls are everywhere. They have parts of dolls everywhere. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that could be the same one, but that's going to have to be see, there's so many. It's so many. It's going to be hard to narrow it down. And let's move on to something where it's not a doll. A chest that was made by a slave.
This is Cooley's chest. And
yes,
he killed his slave over the chest. He was so displeased about its construction, which apparently it's a gorgeous chest. Chest. Okay.
Yeah, and some other enslaved people decided to curse the chest. They put some owl's blood all over it or something like that, and did some chanting and cursed the chest, and it went on from there. It was just disaster from then on. But what's really puzzling about this story, as I kept reading, how did they decide it was this chest? Like, were they just sitting in the house and was just like, oh, that chest, maybe it had like demon eyes come out of it. I don't know. But I wonder, how did they decide it was the chest? That was the story. Like, for me.
If I were a slave and one of my slave friends was beaten to death because the master didn't like the object that he had created, then I'm definitely going to pick that object and curse it so that I can get back at the master. Yeah, I like a good vengeance story, but choosing the object of your friend's demise to get back at at the evil master. It's a good story. I like it. The slaves got together, went to a conjure man, and said, doom this thing, curse it. Unfortunately, they didn't say curse the master. Instead, they just said curse the chest. You got to be real specific when you're going to do something like this, because the master got away scot-clean, which really upsets me. But back to the chest.
But yeah, anything you put, so it's not that you have the chest in your house. You have to put something into it. It doesn't matter how small or how big. You are cursed from then on. So all these tragic things happen to these people. I mean, some got stabbed in the hand. Some fell ill. I mean, the
first
list
baby died.
Yeah, it just went through the entire generation of that entire family until someone decided to say, hey, it's this chest. But then they even tried to fix that situation. They found someone. Oh, it looks like you want to say
it a little bit, because let's say, okay, so the first baby died. The master got away scot-clean, which bothers me, although his entire ancestry was offed. The first baby died. They didn't catch on. Then the second son took over the chest. He was, where are we? Stabbed. Then the third son took over the chest, but the wife was smart, so she said, no, that thing's going in the attic. I don't think it's right. But then the wife gave it to another person in the family. Now, at this point, there is some serious liability. They know something's wrong with this chest, and they're still giving it to their family and friends.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, and we're only on the fourth death at this point, and you've got like 14 more to go.
See, that's what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This one was so puzzling, because the more I read and read, the more these people should know better, but they still kept it. They suspected, but they wasn't 100% sure. But everyone is dropping like flies or getting injured and hurt, losing limbs. I mean, everything is going on, but yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna pass it to my cousin, to my niece, to my sister's brother's friend, to my uncle's last week cousins. I mean, it just kept going on and on until finally someone decided, hey, we need to try something. But when they tried, they came across someone named Sally. Told Virginia she needed to get a dead owl or something, and like all these rituals, and planted under a blossom tree, and it was all these things. But she said, well, you do all of this stuff to get rid of the curse, but one of us is going to die. It's either me or you. Why would you agree to get rid of a curse knowing that you could die? Something's wrong with this picture.
There's something very wrong with this. First off, they're passing it all over the family. Someone being willing to stop the curse at the cost of their own life, I can't even speak to that. It's
not if I barely know you. Like if you came to me, if I have a store for cursed items or get rid of curses, come see me. And you come in there and say, oh my God, this chest I have is wiping my family out. Can you help me? And then I know, and I'm looking through the curse book. Someone has to die. I'm going to say, I'm going to give you the instructions and you go get someone else. I mean, I could not see myself sacrificing for someone I barely know, even for a friend like that. I couldn't do it.
A parent dying for their child, I could absolutely see that. I don't know who died or why, but absolutely you are correct. Like when they first cursed that chest, it had to do with the blood of a dead owl. And when they fixed the curse on the chest, it had to do with the stuffed body of a dead owl.
Yeah. And they had to boil something, some kind of substance. They what it says, boil some leaves from a willow tree. And the sight of the owl. So the owl had to look at the boiling stuff for 24 hours or something?
Yeah, from sunrise to sunset.
Yeah. And then you put the feathers in the drawer?
In the drawer, yep.
But someone's going to die in the morning or down the line or something. I don't know. Nah. I couldn't do it. I'd be like, you stay cursed. You're good. Here's the instructions. Do what you will, but no. Nah. Call me chicken. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I could think of a ton of people I'd give that chest to. I'm not going to break that curse. I'm just going to make a list.
But the chest is still around, though.
The chest is still around, yeah, still in Kentucky, and apparently no one's allowed to put any of their personal objects into it.
Well, I hope not. Can you imagine somebody walk in? Oh man, let me put this shirt away real quick, and that's their last shirt.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you open the drawer, it's they still have a letter in there, and the and the feathers still in there.
Yeah.
These curses is getting wilder and wilder.
This one's great because this one was specifically placed on that object. The others were like lovelorn, sorrow, neglect, and this one was we're going for vengeance. So this one was great.
They wanted to make sure they got everybody. Okay, so on to the last one, and I saved the best for last. I mean, it's not the best. I mean, not like that. It's a sad situation that went on during this time, but it is a very popular curse. And it's the Hungarian suicide song, Gloomy Sunday. And that story is so sad. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Poverty, and there was a war. A war raging on in the area. It was just before World War II hit, like went full strong, but there was a lot of things going on at that time. Unfortunately, he tried to commit suicide. He jumped out of a window, lived, but strangled himself later. Very sad. But that story goes deeper than that. The song was associated with over 100 suicides. It's either they were clutching the music, playing the music. The song changed over many different times. Some of the lyrics have changed. I guess depending on who's singing it. One of the most famous one is Billie Holiday, and they believe she was cursed by the song because she died a horrific slow death. She was into drugs. Her liver was going bad. She was a very heavy drinker. What do you make of that? Like, can a song really bring you down to the point of you wanting to take your own life?
I see no reason why it could not. So I'm going to add to that the composer, I thought, had survived the concentration camps and had lost his family in the concentration camps, and that was where the musical composition came from. And then when he did throw himself out the window and survived, another story I read was that while he was in the hospital, which he must have been for quite some time, he wrapped a wire around his throat to finalize the suicide. It is credited with over 100 suicides, kills. And at first I thought it seemed ridiculous, to be completely honest. You know, we've got dolls, we've got chests, we have these objects that we can hold and feel. But when you have a song, when you have a music worm in your head and you can't get it out and you can't stop it from repeating itself over and over and over, it's quite possible that something could drive you mad that way, without question.
If you ever had a chance to listen to this song, we won't play it. Copyright reasons, and also for your safety. We're not gonna play it. But I listened to that song numerous times. The Billie Holiday version. It is sad. Oh. It is so sad. It makes you feel it makes you feel every emotion. Now, if you're going through depression, anxiety, or even have mental health issues and listening to that song, the lyrics itself could probably drive you into another mindset because it really, really is sad. This is Billie Holiday's version. It's the lyrics go, Sunday is gloomy. My hours are slumberless. Dearest the shadows I live are numberless. Little white flowers will never awaken you, not where the black coach of sorrow has taken you. Angels have no thought of ever returning you. Would they be angry if I thought of joining you? Just now imagine Billie Holiday's voice singing that. That just brings you into tears.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to that, but I'm not going to keep going. But that song, I see why. I mean, during that time, people were going through a lot. And then hearing a really sad song, I think it would just drive you to the lowest point that you already there at that time. What do you think about that?
I think that there must be something even more to it. And I don't know if it would be the musical composition, the frequencies, the keys that it's in. I don't know if it would be Billie Holiday's lyrics as opposed to, I think there were several versions that were changed with the lyrics a little bit. But the fact that this song appears at so many different suicides, and it appears at suicides where people have thrown themselves off buildings. And most people let go of objects they're holding, and yet these people are found clutching the music after throwing themselves off a building. These people are found clutching the sheet music after drowning themselves. These people are found writing their suicide notes on this music. No other song is credited with that much sorrow or that much tragedy and loss. And I don't want to research the melody because it sounds like it could possibly drive someone insane, but it sounds like something in it resonates that way, or perhaps it must resonate. It must be resonance and frequency. Not only that, but this song has been banned in several countries. It was banned in the UK for a while. It was banned in Hungary for a while. This song has been banned. These governments know that something's going on with this song, and they're like, we're not playing it. Nope,
but they're not telling us. That's not fair.
Because we're going to go out and listen to it. Of course we are.
But like I said, I did listen to it many times. I was even listening to it a couple of times when I was getting ready for this show, Billie Holiday's version. And it's just so sad. I mean, it really is. And when I first listened to it, I was going through some really tough times and I would cry my eyes out just listening to it. But the funny thing I couldn't stop listening to it.
See?
I had it on repeat. And I would sit there and cry and cry and cry and cry till I just cried myself with no more tears. But I was driving myself insane with that song because I believed every word of it. Was I almost cursed?
I
caught myself and got out of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Without something to stay attached to or want to stay with, it could drive someone insane.
I was getting there, but if people watching this decide to
listen responsibly.
Don't touch nothing. If you go and visit anything, don't touch nothing. Don't take nothing. Hold your breath when you go in there. Wear a mask so none of the spirits can attach in your face or something. Just don't go at all.
Be respectful.
Watch at the comfort at home. Yeah, just
be respectful.
Just be respectful, like she said. Yeah. Don't be like me and be chicken and just don't go at all. I'm the biggest chicken. First. Anything else you have to add, Dr. Lovey?
Tell us topics you would like us to research and even experiments that we could conduct.
You and these experiments.
I will absolutely conduct experiments. Absolutely.
I will watch you behind plexiglass.
Plexiglass with sigils. Yeah.
Yes, for the safety, for my safety, I watch you do them. And if we go somewhere with anyone of our friends and we start videotaping, like I will always tell everybody, give me the keys to the car because I will leave everyone. If you're not in that car when it starts, you're left.
Yeah.
I watched enough horror films. I know how it works. So, but anyway, thank you guys for watching. And like I said before, please subscribe, like, and comment. Send us an email of your stories or, stories you would like for us to research and talk about. And you want Dr. Lovey to experiment on.
I'll do it.
We would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, stay spooky. Bye.